sometimes it is the artist's task to find out how much music you can still make with what you have left. Wow. What a powerful line that is. It's stayed in my mind ever since I heard it. And who knows, perhaps that is the definition of life, not just for artists, but for all of us. Here is a man who has prepared his entire life to make music on a violin of 4 strings, who all of a sudden in the middle of a concert finds himself with only 3 strings. So that he makes music with 3 strings, and the music that he made that night with just 3 strings was more beautiful, more sacred, more memorable than any he had ever made before when he had 4 strings. So perhaps our task is this. In this shaky, fast-changing, bewildering world in which we live, is to make music at first with all that we have, and when that is no longer possible, to make music with what we have left. Well, good morning. Welcome to the Alaska Center for Spiritual Living. Thank you for coming out, all of you here today, and thank you who are watching online or watching later on YouTube. Thank you for the privilege of being invited into your home, into your life, and to listen to this. It is indeed an honor. An obvious imperfection of mine is when I gave everyone the wrong title to today's talk. The title is Perfectly Imperfect Passions. And so today I have 3 points. I'm going to be talking about how each of us has a unique set of gifts and talents to share with the world. Then I'm going to talk a little bit about the connection between our passions and our purpose. And finally, I'm going to recognize the challenges of being human. Each of us has a unique set of gifts and talents to share with the world. But sometimes we don't know what those gifts and talents are. Some of us find it out at an early age and we know, but some of us never know what they are. So how do we go about discovering them? Well, in our philosophy and what we believe and what we do, we have spiritual practices, meditation, contemplation, and that's certainly a good place to look. But I submit that there's another place you can go, and that is, what makes you happy? What brings joy to you? And if nothing comes up right away, what made you happy as a child? And I submit that is your passion. There is a practitioner who told a story when she was a little girl of lining up her little brothers in front of her, and she played teacher and they were the students. And that was her favorite thing to do. And the little brothers were pretty much afraid of her, so they sat there and went along with it. Today she is 5'1" and they are 6'4", but they still do what they're told. But today she is also a magnificent teacher. She is an incredible teacher. She is living that for which brings her happiness. But sometimes we avoid our passions because we think that they are silly or frivolous, will never provide us with sufficient income to have a good life. We bury our creative urges. Einstein wrote, "Imagination is more important than knowledge, for knowledge is limited, whereas imagination embraces the entire world, stimulating progress and giving birth to evolution." He wrote that in 1924. There's a minister in our movement. She's had a couple of different pulpits over the years. Right now she is the spiritual director at CSL Thailand. And she wrote, and this is Lisa Carson, Reverend Lisa Carson, We are all unique expressions of the one mind. We were born with qualities that enhance and expand spirit by means of our individual lives. Get that? We're all expressions of the one mind. We were born with qualities that enhance and expand spirit or God, the thing itself, whatever name you assign to it, by means of our individual lives. It's our lives that allow that infinite creative force to express itself. Within each person is a divine spark waiting to be realized and ignited by our awareness of it, capital I-T, spirit. Ernest Holmes states that this is the great I am, without which we could not be. This reveals within us the conscious knowing that we are connected and inspired by universal consciousness. So point number 2, the connection between passion and purpose. How are those two related? I submit, our purpose in life, our purpose for being here, why are we here? Our purpose is to activate that childlike joy, is to activate that setting up your little brothers in front of you and teaching them. It's to activate that childlike joy, which is our passion. And so I'm going to give everybody kind of a little assignment, if you're willing to look at it. Each day this week, do one thing that brings you joy. And then take it out and interact with others as you are filled with this joyous feeling. I was trying to think of an example and how I can do that, and I happened to be going to a restaurant, and there was, I'd call it a blackboard, I don't know, I'm sure they have a better name for it today. But somebody had written like the menu and everything on this blackboard, and they had adorned it with beautiful pictures. They had drawn little funny men, and they had flowers. There were all sorts of really cool drawings on this blackboard with the special of the day on it. You know, anybody could just get up and write the special of the day, but the person that did this added the flavor to all of that, and they made that difference. They came from their place of their own inner joy, which was obviously drawing, to share that with everyone else. And so if you can find that thing that brings you joy, find out a way to share it with the world this week. Jim Carrey, the comedian, actor, told a powerful story about growing up. He said that his father was the most natural comedian he has ever known. He said his father could make anybody laugh. He was the absolute best. But Dad didn't believe that he could ever make a living as a comedian. He couldn't make a living making other people laugh. And so he took a job that he thought was safe. He took a job as an accountant, thought he would always be safe there. Terry goes on to write, when I was 12 years old, he was let go from that safe job. Our family had to do whatever we could to survive. I learned that many great lessons from my father, but not the least of which is that you can fail at what you don't want. So you might as well take a chance on doing what you love. Third point, recognize the challenges of being human. In our world today, mistakes or imperfections, we call them failures, are viewed negatively. By whom? By us, by ourselves. We have the opportunity to accept our imperfections and mistakes. I can't do a whole talk without quoting Brené Brown. True belonging only happens when we present our authentic and imperfect selves to the world. Our sense of belonging can never be greater than our level of self-acceptance. And we can move through this by accepting ourselves just as we are, imperfections and all. Because there aren't any of us that are perfect. Or at least that I'm aware of. Some things that came to my mind, or the big thing that came to my mind when I was looking at this and how we go about embracing our imperfections, was Thomas Edison. And I remember reading or thinking somewhere that he failed over 1,000 times to create the incandescent lamp, the incandescent light bulb. When he was asked about all of his failures, he said, failures, those are successes, those are victories. I have already discovered over 1,000 ways that don't work. Reading on that, and he had 2,774 times it didn't work before he got the one that did. But he never looked at those as failures. In today's world, Intuit, in their company, they have an award for the best failure. They hold failure parties. Google gives an annual reward for making mistakes and taking risks. Once upon a time in India, there was a water bearer. And he had a long pole, and he had two big urns that hung off the end of this long pole, which he carried on his neck. And every morning he would wake up and he would take his urns down to the river and he would fill them with water, and then he would walk back to his master's house. One of the urns was perfect and was beautiful, and it was very, very proud of itself for being so perfect. The other urn had a crack in it, and it slowly dripped and dribbled water all the way out, all the way back to his master's house. This went on for several years. And then one day, the urn with the crack just couldn't take it anymore, and the urn said to the water bearer, "I am ashamed. I am so ashamed of myself, for I have a crack." And the water bearer looked at him and said, "What do you mean? Why are you ashamed?" And he said, "Well, because you do all of this work, and I only am able to deliver half of the water back to your household every day. I am so, so sorry." And the water bearer told the jug, "Well, I want you to look and observe on our way home today. I want you to look and see." And so they went home, and he got there with half of a jug of water, and he said, "Did you notice all of the beautiful wildflowers?" And the jug said, "Well, yes, but it makes me even more ashamed." And he said, No, you don't understand. The bearer said to the pot, "Did you notice that there were flowers only on your side of the path, but not on the other pot's side? That is because I have always known about your flaw, and I took advantage of it. I planted flower seeds on your side of the path, and every day while we walk back from the stream, you have watered them. For 2 years I have been able to pick these beautiful flowers to decorate my master's table. Without you being just the way you are, he would not have this beauty to grace his house. Each of us has our own unique flaws. We are all cracked pots. But if we will allow it, life will use our flaws to grace our tables, our homes, and one another's lives. In God's great economy, nothing goes to waste." back to Reverend Lisa Carson. When we step out of our comfort zone, we open to growth and expansion. We change our course when we believe in our project or our dream. We recognize that this is what we are here to do, despite how it may look to others. And I submit that when we are on the stage of life and our strings on our violin snap, we can either accept the imperfection and continue to play our best, or we can give up. What will you do? So the takeaway today, what I want you to remember, I'm inviting you to question long-held beliefs. Why do we continue to hang on to those based mostly in fear? We have an opportunity to move into expansion by boldly stepping out and taking risks. Each day we make a mistake or fail at something that expands your being. It's our choice regarding if and how long we want to keep living in the idea of unworthiness or comparing ourselves to others. We are each blessed with a divine seed that is willing to sprout. There is no separation. And when we belittle ourselves, we belittle the Spirit that created us. We belittle the divine. And we diminish the power inherent therein. Step into the knowing that each passion we have is assisted with a perfect pattern activated at birth. The universe expands by playing and creating through our unique, perfectly imperfect human form. And so it is with an awareness of that inherent perfection that resides within each and every one of us that I invite my colleagues, the practitioners, to join me in holding our congregation, our city, our state, our nation, our world in love and light, and recognizing that that perfect imperfection is the very thing which allows us to move through this world and to step into that point of evolution, as Holmes says. With this awareness that we are perfectly imperfect, we can face all of the challenges that we face in this thing called life. When we are faced with more month than there is paycheck, we can know that we live in an abundant universe. When we are faced with health challenges, we can know that we may not have all of those capabilities or capacities, but we do know that within us is that ability to play with 3 strings and far exceed what we ever could have in any other way. There is that within us that is magnificently perfect. And when we are faced with loneliness or separation and a feeling that we are apart from God or apart from one another, we can simply know that there is nothing in this universe that is not God. There is nothing in this universe that is not love, because God is love. And so when we go through life, we are held and embraced by the very love of God. And so now we can just relax. We don't have to worry about all the small things. We don't have to judge ourselves or anyone else. We can just allow our light to shine. We can just give thanks for all that is, even the seeming imperfections, knowing that behind them there is perfection. So we just give thanks. We step back. We allow the current to flow through us on and out. And so it is.